You're watching the ANEC Sports Podcast on YouTube. The show starts right now. Welcome to episode 25 of the ANEC Sports Podcast. My name is Sam Frick. I'm the founder and editor at Around the Northeast Corner, covering 30 schools across Northeast Indiana and parts of Elkhart County. That includes the ACAC, the NECC, and the Northeast 8. With the show being recorded right now, we are still currently looking through the IHSAA Wrestling State Pairing is being unveiled by the IHSA Champions Network. And so by the time this show is posted, we will talk a little bit more in depth on the state pairings, and we will know by now what those pairings will look like across all the weight classes in this year's IHSA State Finals. And so, with that in mind, girls basketball is now into the Elite Eights, or it's the semi-states. But the point being is, we are now just 2 weekends of girls basketball left on this season, and from there we will jump ahead to the boys basketball state tournament from there. So we're near the end of the regular season for boys basketball. We are near the end of the girls basketball as a whole for the season. And then boys wrestling are heading to its last weekend of the season. Just before you know it, about a month from now, we will have the first practices of the spring season with baseball, softball, track and field, girls tennis, and then the newly added boys volleyball season as an IHSA sports. But without further ado, let's get to the talk around the corner. And to kick things off, we want to go ahead and start off with our coverage of the girls basketball regionals that took place over the weekend. All right, so as you can see on the screen here, these were the scores that took place over the weekend across the state of Indiana for girls basketball regionals. For all intents and purposes, we are only going to be worrying about the schools that are relevant to our coverage, as well as maybe some of the local schools nearby it. So let's kick things off with Class 1A, because that is where we had the least number of area schools of concern for our area. The Fremont Eagles did play Elkhart Christian on Saturday at Belmont. I believe that was a 4 o'clock tip between the Fremont Eagles and the Elkhart Christian Eagles. Where's that score? Right here it is. So 41-36 was the final. Elkhart Christian winning in that contest. And this was a game where Elkhart Christian and Fremont kind of traded points early in that game. There were 4 lead changes in that first quarter, and then ECA kind of made a decent run in the second quarter. They led by as many as, I want to say, 8 points in the game, and really Elkhart Christian never lost that lead the whole way through in that first half. They actually made 7 threes in that contest, despite the fact that Elkhart Christian would go on to only shoot 36% from the floor, and they committed 23 turnovers. The big difference, however, for ECA was they were 0 of 2 from the foul line in the first half, 10 for 16 in the second half, and Kylie Yorty was 7 of 11 from the foul line by herself. Now Maxwell for Elkhart Christian led the way with 14 points and 4 triples. As you can tell, I don't really know ECA that much, so names are going to be kind of vague here for ECA because we just don't cover Elkhart Christian that much. But ECA wins their very first regional championship. And for Fremont, this was a team that was riding high off of a sectional championship, feeling very good about their chances. A very winnable game, really, on paper for the Fremont Eagles. But I think a lot of people underestimated just how tough this Elkhart Christian team is this year, where they've kind of proven doubters wrong this entire year. This is a team that averages 18 steals per game. They only give up around 32, 33 points per game. It's a very tough-minded defense-first team, a team with some freshmen. There's not really a superstar on this Elkhart Christian team. It's a very balanced team overall for the Elkhart Christian Eagles. But I think the big thing when you look at Fremont in that game, they only shot 32% from the floor in that game. They only made 3 threes out of 19 attempts. That's just not going to get it done. They were also 3 of 7 from the foul line. That's not going to get it done. That was an off game for them from the free throw line. They committed 21 turnovers in that game. And Maya Turner really didn't get going until the second half. She had 12 points in that contest. Grace Charlotte didn't quite make the shots that she normally would make. Only had 8 points in that contest. Addie Parr did a lot of the things decently well, but in terms of the offense side of the ball, shooting the basketball, she was ice cold in that game. And Fremont missed a lot of shots. They missed a lot of free throws. They turned the ball over way too much for Fremont in that contest. And I think the triangle, too, really just threw Fremont off in that contest. And yeah, Elkhart Christian was just simply better than them when it's all said and done. Congratulations, EC, on their very first regional championship after winning their first ever sectional championship. We take a look at Class 2A. We will have the Whitko Wildcats and the Eastside Blazers face off in the 2A semi-state hosted by Logan Sports. And in that contest, in the regionals, I should say, Whitko had a pretty slow start in that game. They were down, I think, 5 or 6 points in that first half. And Whitko came back. James Stonebreaker had 16 points. Reese Stonebreaker added 14. And the Whitko Wildcats completed the comeback with a 53-44 win over the Bremen Lions, holding Kyla Foster well below her average of 18.8 points per game. I think she only had 5 points in that contest. And that's a big key to why Whitko was successful in that regional in Caston. And Whitko wins their very first regional after winning their first sectional the week prior against the Bluffton Tigers. Again, they'll be taking on the Eastside Blazers, who had to battle a bit, had to grind it out against Andrean in the Jimtown Regional, but in the end still came out on top with a 39-27 win over the Fighting 59ers of Andrean. Lucy Kitchen had 11 points in that game in a very balanced scoring game for the Eastside Blazers. And again, kind of a grinded out game for them, which is not a bad thing for Eastside, as defense always wins championships, as most people would say. But this is going to be, I believe that is the first game of that semi-state, if I recall. Yes, 10 a.m. Class 2A at Logan Sport will be Whitko against Eastside. 21-4 Whitko versus 26-1 Eastside, the winningest Eastside basketball team in school history. Taking a look at Class 3A at Huntington North, we will have Norwell and Columbia City on separate parts of the semi-state pairings. So that's a good thing for a lot of Northeast Indiana folks that want to see a Norwell Columbia City semi-state championship potentially. Again, you can't overlook Delta, you can't overlook Highland. Everybody's good at this point of the season, but you have to like the fact that on paper, if Norwell and Columbia City get the job done, they would meet for a semi-state championship. So both of these teams, both Norwell and Columbia City, steamrolled their regional opponents on Saturday. Columbia City held Lowell to just 7 second-half points in a 73-29 win over the Lowell Red Devils. Addison Baxter had 25 points on 10 of 12 shooting, 9 rebounds, 8 steals, 5 assists, and 1 block in that contest, as she now puts herself over 1,800 points in her career, which I believe is ranked 4th in the entire history of Whitley County, regardless of gender. She is the school's all-time leading scorer. She is also Whitley County's highest-scoring female basketball player. As far as Norwell is concerned, a lot of the same thing happened with Norwell at Belmont. They jumped out to a 29-2 lead in the first quarter and simply never looked back, as Norwell shot 45% from the floor. They were 14 of 30 from downtown. Vanessa Rossworm had 30 points in that contest. In addition to Rossworm's performance, Ashley Wallman had 18 points, all from her 6 triples. And the Norwell Knights dominate the East Noble Knights, who put up a pretty resilient effort in the second half. Avery Amstutz and Addison Deming were solid. Kate David played decently well, but they could not overcome the fact they had 28 turnovers in that game, and they had such a bad first quarter that they had no chance of beating Norwell Knights, especially when you're down 27 points to that juggernaut of an offense. You just can't be down by that many points and expect to beat the Norwell Knights. So now you have Norwell against Delta. Delta playing their very first semi-state after winning their first ever regional, to which Delta won their first sectional since 1993. Highland is a program we have seen before amongst area schools. If you recall, in 2023, the Fairfield Falcons did play Highland in semi-state. So Highland's a school that not to take for lightly in the state tournament. And while Highland's win over Culver Academies is seen as an upset, they're one of those teams you can't completely overlook per se. So let me say we'll have to be careful about looking past Highland in that semi-state semifinal matchup. Same goes for Norwell. But on paper, if these two teams were to advance, they would face each other for that 8 o'clock championship game at Huntington North. Keep in mind that Norwell, Columbia City, Huntington North, they are all conference rivals. So you would expect a pretty large crowd in that potential championship game if that matchup does indeed happen. And then lastly, in Class 4A, unfortunately for the SAC community, the Snyder Panthers and the Homestead Spartans were eliminated in regionals. Snyder fell to McCutcheon in the first session of the Marion Regional by the score 45-41. And then in the nightcap of that Marion Regional, Hamilton Southeastern was just guns blazing in that championship game. Maya Makalewski had 24 points and 8 rebounds as HSC defeated Homestead 65-48. So Hamilton Southeastern will be playing in Frankfort as well as McCutcheon. McCutcheon will be taking on the Warsaw Tigers in that 12 o'clock matchup as Warsaw defeated South Bend, Washington by the score of 53-43. Jocelyn Bricker had 19 points and 12 rebounds in that contest. Brooke Winchester scored her 1,000 points. So that makes it 3 Warsaw players scoring 1,000 points in their careers, 2 of which are only juniors. Brooke Winchester is the senior as she is committed to Ball State. Brooke Zarmont is committed to Miami, Ohio. And we will wait where Jocelyn Bricker's future holds beyond Warsaw in the coming months ahead. But right now, Warsaw playing their first semi-state since 2013, and on the 50th anniversary of the girls basketball state tournament, it's fitting that Warsaw is still playing in Class 4A. But if you look at semi-state right now, you have to like the fact with Eastside and Whitko, we're going to be guaranteeing an AAC school playing for a semi-state championship at Logansport, and then hopefully we will be able to guarantee, hopefully, again, the key word is hopefully, we will have a Norwell Columbia City championship game at Huntington North to decide who will represent Northeast Indiana and more specifically around the Northeast corner in the state finals. And then Warsaw is mentioned here as well. Now let's shift over to boys basketball, as we want to quickly run down what's happening in boys basketball these days. As you can see in the ACAC, the Woodland Warriors clinch an outright conference championship. I know you see on the screen they say they have Bluffton and Woodland tied for first place, but the truth of the matter is, because of Woodland defeating Bluffton via tiebreaker, the Woodland Warriors are outright ACAC champions thanks to their win over Southern Wells 66-22, as the Woodland Warriors win their first conference championship since 2017. And so what remains left for the ACAC, at least for this week, as you can see on the schedule here, we will have Adams Central Southwood, which will be an intriguing matchup for the Jets. Belmont and South Adams, the Battle of Adams County. Bluffton's at Hamilton. Northside and Heritage could be an intriguing matchup here. Jay County and Hamilton Heights, that will be one of our ACAC games of the week. Southern Wells at Anderson Prep. Southern Wells is trying to get their first win this season, and so are the Eastside Blazers, as they host Woodland. On Wednesday, that same Eastside team is going to Adams Central. Keep in mind that Eastside does not have a JV team, so as you can see, that actually is incorrect. So that is actually going to be a 6 o'clock tip between Woodland and Eastside, since the Blazers do not have a JV team. And then on Friday, Belmont is at Bluffton. Heritage at New Haven is our other ACAC game of the week for this week. North Miami is at Southern Wells. Norwell at Jay County. And then on Saturday, we'll have a nice lineup of games here. Bluffton, Mississinawa, Dwayner at Woodland. Should be a fun matchup there. Northside, Adams Central will be a very nice matchup there at the hangar. South Adams and Union City. And then Southern Wells is going to Hamilton. Maybe this is the day that Southern Wells finally gets their first win of the season. Keep in mind that Southern Wells has never had a winless season in program history. So there is some pressure of trying to get that first win of the season. That is for sure. Shifting over to the Hoosier Plains Conference, and again, as we talked about with the Hoosier Plains earlier, we will find out the fate of the Hoosier Plains Conference this week as Bethany Christian goes into that week 4-0 conference play, 9-11 overall. They have Trinity Lutheran. Not Trinity Lutheran, good grief. We have Trinity Greenlawn left on Bethany Christian's schedule as the Bruins will take on Trinity Greenlawn on the 21st on Friday at Trinity. That's the South Bend area school at 7:30 p.m. If Bethany wins this game, they are the outright conference champions. If Trinity Greenlawn wins, there will be a share of the conference between Bethany and Trinity at the very least. Although Elkhart Christian is playing Trinity, I should correct myself. So actually, Trinity does have Elkhart Christian on Tuesday. So keep in mind that we may not see Trinity even get a share to begin with, because if Trinity were to lose the ECA, then Trinity would be eliminated from the conference championship, but it would keep ECA alive in the conference race. So either way, if Bethany were to lose to Trinity, you will see a share of the conference championship. Also, Hamilton, 1 win this season. They've lost 12 in a row, trying to get off that 12-game schneid. Looking ahead to the Northeast State, the New Haven Bulldogs and the Columbia City Eagles do wrap up the NE8 with conference championships. Columbia City came back to defeat the Leo Lions 66-61 thanks to 25 points from Landon Richmond and 18 points from Owen Marshall. Meanwhile, New Haven basically dominated the East Noble Knights 86-73, although, let's be honest, New Haven led by as many as 25 points in that contest, and this game was essentially not even an indicative of just how much of a blowout it was for New Haven, as Jadrian Ezel had 21 points in that contest. Jamal Lawrence had, I think, 16, and then Tavar Baskerville ended up with 19 points at the very least for the New Haven Bulldogs. I think DeMarcus Wright might have had double figures as well for New Haven, but nevertheless, New Haven wins their first conference championship in 2016, and then Columbia City wins their second consecutive NEA championship. So from here on out, we have just non-conference games left for the Northeast State, Belmont at South Adams, Columbia City at West Snowball. I will speak with Ethan Marsh of West Snowball later on the show. East Snowball at Homestead, Concordia at DeKalb, Bishop Lures at Huntington North, could be an intriguing matchup there. Leo at Dwayner, New Haven at Canterbury. On Friday, Belmont is at Bluffton. Snyder at Leo's an intriguing one here. Garrett at DeKalb will be our Northeast State game of the week. Heritage at New Haven. Again, that's our ACAC game of the week. Huntington North at Tippy Valley. Northridge at Columbia City. And Norwell at Jay County. And then on Saturday, please do disregard this game right here. Norwell is not going to be playing Concordia on Saturday because the Norwell Lady Knights are playing in semi-state, so this game will not happen. But Belmont and Bishop Lures will take place on that day, as well as Westview at Leo. This is a game that was supposed to be played about a month ago. Hopefully, we will have this game being played on Saturday between Westview and Leo. Taking a look at the Northeast Corner Conference, and this is the last remaining ANEC area conference of interest, as the Westview Warriors sit very nicely at 8-1 in conference play, 13-5 overall are the Westview Warriors. You can also say thank you to Central Noble, who has now won 6 in a row and defeated the Lakeland Lakers on Friday, 53-47, essentially putting all the pressure on Lakeland and to some extent Angola to get the job done in the Northeast Corner Conference, as Westview will definitely be pulling for either West Noble or Lakeland to knock off Angola in an effort to try to win an outright conference championship. Right now, as things stand, if Angola loses a conference game or Westview defeats Fremont a week from Tuesday, the Westview Warriors will clinch at least a share of the NECC. But as things stand right now, Angola is still in play for that conference. And then mathematically, Lakeland, West Noble are still in play as well. Garrett is eliminated from the conference race due to the win by the Westview Warriors against Prairie Heights, 61-39. When you take a look at this sweet slate of games, Central Noble is at Concord. That's a team that Central Noble has not played in quite some time. Churubusco is at Garrett. Columbia City at West Noble. Fairfield at Bremen. Fremont at Goshen. Lakewood Park at Prairie Heights. Northridge at Lakeland. I will be talking about that game on the ANEC Sports website. Westview at Wawasee. Woodland at Eastside. Keep in mind that's a 6 o'clock tip there. On Wednesday, Eastside at Adams Central. Thursday, Fairfield at ECA. Friday, Angola at Eastside. Central Noble at Fremont. Busco at Fairfield. Garrett at DeKalb. Goshen at Westview. Prairie Heights at Lakeland. And then lastly on Saturday, take that back here. Whitko and Churubusco will not happen on Saturday because the Whitko Lady Wildcats are playing in semi-state. So it is very likely we will not see this game being played this weekend between Whitko and Churubusco. Westview is at Leo on the 22nd, as I mentioned earlier. And then our AEC game of the week will be West Noble at Angola as the Hornets look to stay alive for a share of the Northeast Corner Conference. And then lastly, we do want to briefly mention the Three Rivers Conference. The Manchester Squires now sit 7-0 in conference play, 18-1 overall. They have won 17 consecutive games. Congratulations to Gavin Benton as he became Wabash County's all-time leading scorer, regardless of gender, back on February the 14th, and a 71-53 win over Peru as he surpassed Kaylee Hensley, who held the record for 14 years. She is a 2011 graduate of Wabash High School. Gavin Benton, a senior for the Manchester Squires, who will soon be heading to Grace College. Keep in mind that Manchester still has 2 more conference games left. However, with that in mind, really the McConaughey game is really the last big game left for the Manchester Squires. As you can see, Whitko is definitely on a rebuilding season this year. So if Manchester defeats McConaughey, it is very likely that the Squires will win the conference outright. If McConaughey defeats Manchester, then we will likely see a share of the conference. Manchester has not won an outright conference championship in around a quarter of a century. So the Squires are overdue of winning an outright conference championship, and they have shown that they have been leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in that conference. Unfortunately, we don't cover the TRC as a conference. Our only school we cover is Whitko. And unfortunately, the Whitko Wildcats are having a down season of their own. But we do want to say congratulations to Ben once again on becoming Wabash County's all-time leading scorer. So that's going to be the talk around the corner. Because this episode is pretty loaded with content on basketball and looking ahead to semi-state and then looking ahead also to the ANEC game of the week, I have decided that we're gonna push the wrestling content in a separate video in a special segment on the ANEC Sports Podcast where I'm looking ahead and breaking down the wrestling state finals. I still have some content I want to talk about with wrestling, so I think to keep this podcast shorter, or at least short enough, I decided to push the wrestling content to a separate segment. So that is going to do it for the talk around the corner. And now we get to our interviews. I'm here with the head boys basketball coach of the West Noble Chargers, Ethan Marsh. Ethan, how are you doing on this snowy Sunday?
I'm good. I'm staying inside. It's looking kind of nasty out there, so just enjoying the heat inside now.
Not great weather to be outside right now. That is for sure. Hopefully, everyone's staying warm up right now during this time of year. And this is how you know you're getting close to the state tournament because of that snowy weather and whatnot. But we'll talk about that, about the postseason at another time and whatnot. Coach, you look at this team, the end of the season, having been 2 years removed from Austin Cripe graduating. He's at Bethel College now. Braden Barb graduated from last year's team. So really with this year's team, this is kind of the first time that you kind of had truly have to kind of rely on more of a team by committee approach. How has this team adjusted so far this season?
I think if you look back at how we started the season, we've really come a long way. Coming into this year, like you said, we didn't have that single guy. We've got a few guys that we really count on. But we really didn't have that, Austin Cripe 20 some a game, and Braden Barth, 15, 16, that guy that everybody's really going to focus on when they play us. We didn't have that, but we had some really solid players that are capable of making some plays at the varsity level. So for us, it's really been, from the start that we had, losing 3 in a row to start the year. It's really been just trying to get better, develop good habits, and really trying to get all of our guys to believe, and go out there and be a threat on the floor. So, proud of the guys. We've had, during that nice little stretch we had where we beat Fremont, Fairfield, and DeKalb. That was about as even a contribution as you can get from everybody. We've had 4 guys averaging right around 10 points a game pretty much all year. And then when you get that 5th guy to kind of step up, that makes a big difference for us. That makes it really hard to guard for the opponent. So Isaac Mast had a good week, DeKalb and Fairfield. He was, 10, 11 both games. So just that balance really makes it tough. I feel like same thing when we're scouting somebody and we see that, they don't have a guy out there that you can really kind of be a little bit of an afterthought, like that just makes it tough. So that's what we've tried to do, is just make it as hard as we can on the defense. And, we've hit a little bit of a, tough stretch in our schedule lately. So trying to push through and continue to get better. But I love the progress that we've made from the beginning of the year to now, February 16th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice balance of seniors as well as some underclassmen. Nolan Kelly, you could argue, might have been your more consistent shooter this year. Jordan Esch playing the role of what a Braden Barth was last year, kind of that double guy. He can get those double performances. Trevor Steele, Aiden Raplogo,
Mm-hmm.
Isaac Mass, you mentioned a nice week as well for your West Noble Chargers. I do want to speak on behalf of Jordan Esch because he's kind of he's one of those players that's still there from those past couple years where
Yeah.
your team's had a lot of success and whatnot, and we've seen on the football field with the success he brought on the gridiron as well. Talk about
Yeah.
what Jordan has contributed to this program to help this program be able to transition to where it is today.
Yeah, Jordan is he's a coach's dream. I would say, he's a 3-sport athlete at West Noble, plays football, basketball, and baseball. And I think you'd be hard pressed to get any of his coaches to say anything negative about him. He's a great leader. He absolutely works as hard as anybody I've ever coached. He's just kind of got that grittiness to him that coaches really appreciate. He's willing to do whatever it is you ask of him at any point in the year. As busy as he is with three sports, he just doesn't miss much. He wants to be there. He wants to be with his team. Coming into this year, he knew he was stepping up into a leadership role as a senior, as a guy with quite a bit of experience for us. So, he has the respect of his teammates because of how he goes about his work. He's a great student. I think he's 6th in his class. So it's just, he's one of those guys that just gets things done. He finds a way to get the job done, whatever the job may be, on the court, off the court. If if I had a leak in my roof, I'm sure I could call him and he'd come out here and help me fix it. So he's just one of those guys. He finds a way to get it done. And, there's times where it may not always look pretty, but he's gonna find a way to just gut through it and get it done. And I have a ton of respect for that. And, he's really been a big part of what we've done for the past 3-4 years now. So really proud of him, proud of the year he's having, and hope we, continue to see him take that next step over the final couple weeks.
A winner in the athletic performance and winner of character in the classroom as well. So we want to talk
Absolutely.
about with this team. Obviously, your team got off to a slow start, about 2-5 to begin the season. You're
Hmm.
currently 8-10, so you've won what would be 6 of your last, 2-5. So you're talking about you won 6 of your last, I don't know, 11 games,
11.
something like that.
Yeah, 6-5.
Such a last 11, yeah, but you're still in the midst a little bit in the NECC, although you're going to need some help down the stretch to
Right.
have a chance of a conference share. But right now, with looking at your schedule right now, you have Columbia City at home on Tuesday. This is a
Yep.
makeup game that from over the weekend because of Columbia City girls continuing on the state tournament. This is a school that you have familiar ties with because that's where you went to school at Columbia City
Hmm.
during the good old Coach Benedict years and whatnot. And your
Yeah.
schedule's pretty front loaded with tough competition and whatnot. And then that's going to transition nicely to the Angola game on Friday or Saturday, I should
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, playing against your alma mater, a place I've spent 5 years coaching as well. I was a freshman coach there for 2. I was varsity assistant for 3. Obviously, that that was home. I've been at West Noble now. This is year 6, I believe. So it's kind of different now, just because when you're far enough removed, all the names aren't necessarily the names that you remember or know. But from youth league and middle school stuff, I still know some of these guys and a lot of the coaching staff. So um, should see a lot of familiar faces Tuesday night. You know, as part of the game and in the crowd. So it's always fun. But they're a really good team. I mean, they just clinched they got their share of the NE8 title. So, they're having a good year. They're really athletic. I mean, when they've got a kid going to play football at Army, I mean that takes a certain level of not only athlete but a certain level of person as well. And um, so that's going to be a tough one. New sectional opponent now also with the way the sectionals have reclassified. So yeah, back to back games against sectional opponent. Obviously, Tuesday didn't go the way we wanted it to with Northwood, but that's what it's about. You gotta see where you stack up against these teams at this time of the year, and that's kind of what we have on Tuesday. It'll be our senior night as well, so a lot of emotions there for our guys. Last time getting to play together on that court, but then yeah, we that Westview game was a big one for us. We felt like if we won that one, we would kind of be in the driver's seat, with who we had left on our schedule. Um, I think Lakeland was still at 1 loss at that point. We were at 1 loss, Angola, Westview, and we had pretty much all of them still on our schedule. So that kind of that was a hit to our conference chances. But again, the NECC's been kind of crazy this year. You feel like there's teams that can go out there and beat anybody on any given night. So I think Westview still has Fremont. They're a tough team. They've had some tough luck with injuries, but tough team. So you just got to go out there and take care of what you can take care of. And, that's kind of our goal. It's again, more stiff competition, whatever happens with the conference race. It's more really good competition to help us get ready for the tournament.
And obviously, one other thing you did not mention with Columbia City, you've got Landon Richmond on that contest as well, and
For
that's going to
sure.
prepare you very nicely for Angola with their heights on Friday
Hmm.
because you not only have the scrappiness of Angola's guards led by a kid by the name Ryan Stuckey, but you've got these two
Yep.
bids in Angola in Crew Weber and Niles Knotts, who is having
Yep.
a fantastic freshman season for the Angola Hornets. You got to go up to the Hive up in Angola. That's not an easy place to play whatsoever. You know that from your
Yep.
time at West Noble and even before that. Talk about that matchup with Angola because this is a very different team from what we've seen the past couple years.
Yeah. No, Really, I think they're different in a lot of ways, but they're also there's a style to Angola that I think is independent of its coach. If you go back to I've been around this conference long enough now. Like you go back to the Ed Bentley days, it's going to be physical. Yes, it's going to be a little slower maybe at that time, but it's going to be physical. Coach Appleton had teams where he's trying to get out and press you and really push it and push the tempo, but that physicality remains. I think when you go up there, you're going to see that physicality. You're going to see, just good athletes. Angola consistently has good athletes on the court, on the field, wherever. So yeah, it's the last couple games for us with Northwood, 6'8" Tyler Rosh, 6'7" Pearson, Columbia City with 6'4", 6'5" Landon Richmond, and 6'6" Nate Berna. Like we've seen a good amount of size lately. So hopefully we can do our best to handle that. And I think that's been one of the things we've been working on throughout the years is just handling everybody else's physicality a little bit. We haven't had the size this year that we've had in past years, but getting our guards involved and really trying to be as scrappy as we can, and that's kind of how we have had to survive. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. This year, yeah, we don't have the size, like I said, but they got to guard us on the other end too, and that can be an advantage for you too. If small ball is kind of the thing, and everybody's not always going to it on purpose. This is who we have. These are our best guys. Let's go see what we can do. So that's kind of the position we've been put in. So I like it if we can just handle that physicality. If we can get our defense cleaned up a little bit from these last few games. Haven't really been happy on that end, but if we can get that cleaned up, I like our guys. I like the fight that they bring night in, night out. So it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. This is Ethan Marsh, the head boys basketball coach of the West Norwell Chargers. This is your 6th season of West Norwell. I cannot believe it's been that long since you've been in West Snowball. And you talked about the schedule, playing the Fairfields, the Calbs, the Garretts, right? The East Snowballs, Westview, LaVille, Northwood are your last 3 opponents and whatnot. You might have mentioned this moments ago, but how have been those last 3 games helped you prepare for a team like Angola that it's physical, they're going to rebound the basketball, and obviously when you're playing against a team like Angola, you're going to have to be able to take care of the little things against that type of a physicality.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you want this time of the year. You want to be tested in our January, conference tournament. It seems like it's funny how I talked to the team about this the other day. It's funny how the schedule kind of just changes from year to year. We used to be, conference wise, a little more front loaded. We would have Busco and Central Noble were one of our first 2, and you had Connor Esesian, you had Landon Jordan, Jackson Paul, you had different guys that you had to go up against there, and it seemed like those were kind of the guys running the conference at the time, and we had them really early. So now it's like everybody that we were, back to the Westview game, going into that game, everybody we were tied with, we still had left on our schedule. We had to play Westview. We had, we got Garrett coming up. They were one game in the loss column behind us. Angola is up there. So it was just funny how it kind of shakes out. But, it's these last 3 games, like I said, haven't been entirely pleased with us on the defensive end. We've had just some lapses in focus. We've had some miscommunications. But again, it's getting your team to handle a level of physicality that is going to help you prepare for the tournament. We all know the tournament's kind of a different beast. So, I would much rather, if we're going to take some lumps, I'd rather do it, mid-February than in that first week of March. So as long as we learn from it and continue to get better and address some of our weaknesses, then it's all worth it in the end. That's kind of what we're all playing for. We just want to be ready when after that sectional draw comes out, get that plan together and have our guys ready for that first week of March.
Mm-hmm. And which leads to my final question, as you mentioned it just moments ago. So you have 4 games left in the season. You have Columbia City and Angola this week. You're at Goshen and at Garrett next week. And then your sectional has yourself, Fairfield, Columbia City, Northwood, and then Wawasee and Tippy Valley. are still on your schedule. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about Lakeland this time around since they dropped
Right.
to 2A this year.
Right.
As you go through these flash stretch of games, what do you want to see this team continue to improve as you focus on the postseason?
I think it's everything I've talked about. Lately it's been the defensive end and um, just containing the basketball. We preach all the time that if you win the rebounding game, you win the possession game, and take care of the ball, limit your turnovers, you're going to have a chance. So for us, it's been when we've played really well, we've been really good in those areas. Limit them to one shot per possession, do a really good job of cleaning up the glass and take care of the basketball. That little 3-game winning streak we went on, we were in the right around 6-7 turnovers a game, and the last 3 have not been that. So just cleaning that up, being able to, run your stuff, get into what you want to get into, no matter how the defense is playing. Whether they're up in you, pressing you the whole time, just being physical. Kind of see what they're trying to take away and see how you can attack it. But just playing the way we're capable of playing, and that as a coach, that's kind of what you're always trying to do. But it's also, that's what makes it frustrating too. It's like, what do we count on night in and night out? And it's just shoring that up a little bit. But like I said, love my guys, love going to practice with them, love getting to work with them every day. So really want to continue to push them, continue to challenge them, and let's see how good we can be when this thing wraps up. It's going to end for everybody one way or another. Let's feel good about it when it does for us.
All right. That's a good way to end that question here. Coach, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, it's just, it's this time of the year. Everybody loves it. It's, like you said, weather's not great out there now, but it seems like come sectional time, it's always that first little shot of spring that we get to see. So hopefully the weather turns, starts feeling like sectional time in Indiana, how it's supposed to feel. And, it's a great thing that we get to be a part of every year. Indiana high school basketball is special, and we all appreciate your coverage and the time that you put into it too. So, can't believe we're here already, mid-February, towards the end of February, but here we are. So let's see what we're made of coming down the stretch, and let the chips fall where they may after that.
Well, as they say in 49 states, it's just basketball. This is Indiana basketball.
Absolutely.
It's a very different type of experience, that's for sure. Thank you for taking time to talk about the West Norwell Chargers, and good luck.
Thank you.
I'm here with the head girls basketball coach of the Eastside Blazers, Mike Lortie, as your regional champion Blazers are halfway there to the state finals, to which this school has never done so in basketball before. Coach, how are things been since that tremendous win for your Blazers to win your first regional championship since 1979?
It's been pretty exciting. We had a lot of fans that made the trip to Jimtown yesterday, and, just exciting to celebrate with them and our players. We come back to the gym. We had some fireworks, a little parade with the fire trucks, and a little session in the gym. It was very exciting night and very rewarding.
Yeah. And with this program, last year it didn't go as things planned last year, losing to Central Noble in the first round, and be able to come back this year, get that sectional championship for the first time since 2022, and then going to regionals playing against a tough Andrean team that obviously their schedule really indicates that they are a much tougher team than what the record indicated. Obviously in that game, 39-27, not the prettiest games by any stretch of the imagination, but Lucy Kitchen hit some big shots. Lily Kresher was a very key part of this team. And in the end, your team defense held the fort and be able to win that regional championship. How proud of you of the fact that this team was able to hold through and be able to win this game despite not the best offensive performance?
Yeah, it was really, really great that we maintain our defensive focus, even though some shots weren't falling. It was a very physical game. And it was a very defensively oriented game. Andrean played some really good defense on us, and we obviously played some good defense on them. Only giving them 27. But our maintained focus was what I'm really proud of. Some shots didn't fall for us. It didn't flow as like we like it to do. But I didn't see our girls get flustered. Our girls just did a great job of focusing on what we got to do this possession, and we move on to the next one. I thought they did a great job of that.
You talked about Andrean having a great defensive performance, and they do rebound the ball pretty decently well at Andrean. But what are some things about Andrean that made it difficult for you to get the shots you want?
Well, they do a really good job of help and recover. When we drive baseline or anybody drives baseline on them, they cover the block area really, really well. And then they're also able to recover to their defender or to their offensive player that they were guarding really well. So some of our shots that they closed out on really, really well got deflected. We probably had 3 or 4 of those. That's something we're not used to. But that's something we had to adjust some things to. And I thought our girls did a really nice job of that. Again, their defense, they were quick, they were athletic. The Walton girl, number 14 inside was big. She's a very good athlete. And then obviously number 2 for them was a really good guard. She guarded real well.
Mm-hmm. And obviously your team was able to hold through and be able to deal with what they were good at and able to still win a regional championship, which is something that I think that you're going to take away at the end of the day and say, hey, we got it done at the end of the day. Coach, this program has seen a lot of historic moments for this program. First time ever sweeping the NECC, most wins in school history, regardless of boy or girl. First regional championship since 1979. I don't know what was Mike Lortie like back in 1979. That would be my first question.
Boy, I don't know. I was pretty darn young back then, if you can believe that or not. I just remember, when I was younger, actually, I went to Heritage High School, and in 1978, our Heritage Patriots girls went to the state finals and played, or in the Final Four. I remember going to Hinkle Fieldhouse and watching that game. That was really exciting. I was pretty young then, but I still have some memories of those things going on.
And then continuing to what I was already talking about earlier. So this is the 50th anniversary of the state tournament, as we mentioned multiple times. Eastside having won their first regional since 1979. That was a very good Eastside team that won the ACAC tournament as well. Coach, when we look back at all these accolades with this program, and now they sit in the Elite Eights of the state tournament, what goes to your mind now that this program is within the cusp of getting to the state finals?
Some of it hasn't quite sunk in yet, to be honest with you. I mean, we get a smile on our face thinking about it, then it's like, okay, we got work to do yet. It's a little bit of uncharted territory for our community as far as girls basketball goes. But, I think we'll feed off of some recent successes that other programs have had at Eastside with our football program and our softball program. And, it's exciting. Our fans have been great. Our players have been focused. This week we got a lot of work to do. We're just going to try to focus on the step that's right in front of us, and then we'll worry about the later ones, later on if it happens.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention baseball went to the state finals just a few years ago when Owen Willer was the starting pitcher for Eastside. So obviously this school's had plenty of historical moments for getting to the state finals. And obviously girls basketball wants to become that next sport to get there if they can get there, but that's for another time. Right now we have semi-state. You're going to Logansport this Saturday at the good old Berry Bowl. Nice place at Logansport. And you draw a 10 a.m. matchup against the Whitko Wildcats in their semi-state debut. They defeated the Bluffton Tigers to win their first sectional in school history, and then defeated the Bremen Lions to win their first regional championship. This Whitko team plays a high tempo offense. They'll run multiple defensive formations. They might run a 1-2-2 press. They might have full courts. They got a lot of athletic kids. They're extremely scrappy, and they take some high-level three-point shots. Coach, what are some things that stand out to you about this Whitko team that you're going to have to be prepared for? Because this Whitko team can hit some shots at a high rate.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen them play a whole lot, just bits and pieces, and I've kind of kept an eye on them, knowing that they were pretty good. And I've had a lot of people tell me that, go look in the mirror. They look a lot like us, and they play a lot like us. They want to play up tempo. We like to play up tempo. They're scoring about 61 points a game. We're right in that range too. We'll break down film. We'll find out exactly, what they do and who their players are a little bit more in detail. I believe the Breakers, is that their name? Stonebreakers? That very good basketball players, and I don't know all their names right now, but I do know they got some good athletes. They got good coaches. They do shoot the ball well. So, we're going to have to contest shots and make them hit difficult shots in order for us to be successful.
Yep, they are a very scrappy team. They're quick. Allie Brown's a nice post player for Whitko. Reese and Jameis Stonebreaker, the two kids you're referring to, and they had 30 of their 53 points against Bremen. Not to mention Adriana Phillips, the kid that can hit some shots as well. She's going to be playing college basketball. So this is going to be a very difficult team, and as you get to this point of the season, you're going to start playing the best teams in the state of Indiana, going to Logansport, and obviously waiting the other half of that semi-states, Rensselaer Central and Sheridan, if you were to advance in semi-state. I guess my last question for you, Coach, is this: as we process this upcoming matchup and going to that uncharted territory for semi-state, what's going to be that plan for the team to stay prepared for the semi-state and not let the moment get too big?
Well, I think we've done that all year, to be honest with you. We talk about just, paying attention to what's in front of us right now. And what's in front of us right now is Whitko, and we're going to prepare for them, and then we see what happens after that. But again, through our conference schedule, through our tournament, NACC tournament, through sectional, we're concentrating on what's directly in front of us right now. Let's get that job done, and then we can refocus on what we need to do the next game or the next process. So the girls have done a really great job of that this year, and I'm really proud of them for that.
Mm-hmm. And this is a program that has achieved high goals and looking to achieve even more, is looking for the program's very first semi-state championship, which is another checkbox waiting to be marched for this program, as this team has done a lot of great things in their entire history of the program. And I know, Coach, you are a part of this as well. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, I just, always thank you for your coverage of all of our sports in our area. You and the other guys, they put a lot of time into this, and it's really great. I'm excited for Saturday. And let's just go play some basketball. It should be a fun day.
Yes, indeed, especially at the Berry Bowl in Logansport. An incredible atmosphere. Eastside should be able to get a good crowd down there to support the green and gold of the Eastside Blazers. They take on the Whitko Wildcats on Saturday, what should be an exciting opening game in semi-state. Coach, thank you for taking time, and good luck the rest of the way.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm here with the head girls basketball coach of the Whitko Wildcats, Justin Jordan. And Coach, while it's cold outside, your team is red hot shooting the basketball right now, and you're seeing yourself having a nice run to semi-state. How are things going for your team?
Yeah, we've been playing well. Been moving the ball pretty good these last couple weeks, and then hitting some timely shots down the stretch. And we're shooting the ball at a high clip. I'm just hoping we can continue this run. It's been awesome, and I'm super proud of the girls.
Mm-hmm. You came into the sectional kind of an underdog per se because of the Bluffton Tigers having the success they've had this year with the ACAC. You drew a very difficult matchup with Woodland, took care of them decently well, I think, against the Woodland Warriors. And then in the sectional final against Bluffton, you had that, I believe it was a 16-0 run late in the third quarter to win the fourth quarter. And that really helped your team get that win, the sectional championship. Obviously, timely shots from Jama and Reese Stonebreaker Adriana Phillips, Allie Brown was big in that game. And then Bracia Harris in that sectional was huge too. Talk about just that ability to win that first sectional championship in school history.
It was amazing. Just to think too about all the great teams and players that Whitko's had in the past decade. It was just an amazing feat for us. The girls all knew what was at stake. And Bluffton's an amazing team. I got a lot of respect for Coach Curtis, Coach Alt, all those coaches, and those girls are really good. Unfortunately, it sucked somebody had to lose that game, but we made some big plays down the stretch. We got stops and key moments, and then we answered the bell. Like I said, the girls, like I said, this season's just been a testament of how battle tested we've been. But I guess I'm just super proud of them so far.
Mm-hmm. The first thing came to my mind when Whitko won that sectional was, man, just imagine what that 2017 team feels like right now, having seen it come 8 years later after they came up short in the sectional final against Central Noble, which kind of gives me some reminiscent feels with this team now, is because of what Central Noble did in 2017. You went to the regional finals against Bremen at Caston. You were down 8 points in the first half against the Bremen Lions, who have a very difficult defense that they run. They're a very physical team, and Kyle Foster is a bucket for the Bremen Lions. Talk about where that change happened from being down 19-11 to be able to hold the fort in the second half. Obviously, Jama and Reese Stonebreaker made big buckets, but it bowed down to playing some tough-nosed defense late in the game.
Yeah. Again, Bremen, another really well coached team. Yeah, and Kyla Foster's really good. One of the things that Bremen did that we kind of weren't expecting was their zone. They extended it almost to the volleyball line, which caused some issues for us in the beginning. And they did a really good job crashing the glass. We did not rebound very well in the first half, and they exploited that in the game, and that's where a lot of their points came from. And then we made some adjustments in the second half. We got stops, and we made big shots. That's just really been our MO. That's the second half we come out guns blazing, and then you know we throw a bunch of punches, and then we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, this team is built kind of the nice storyline of this postseason. You got the Stonebreaker girls kind of emerging as stars for the Whitko Wildcats. Adriana Phillips, her last postseason run for Whitko. Allie Brown emerging as a nice big on your team. Bracia Harrison coming back in the season, the state tournament. Talk about the reactions with the community of Whitko, a small town in South Whitley with a good basketball history. Talk about what it's been like being around the community after going through this run right now.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Yesterday's game, it was the crowd was electric. There was a lot. I met a lot of alumni that played years ago. I met alumni from the '70s. There was so many administrators there, so many teachers. It was just amazing to see the love and support. And even when we were down, I mean, everybody was on their feet most of the game, and the support's just been amazing. And I'm assuming the support's going to be even more crazier and amazing this upcoming Saturday for us when we go down to Logansport. But it's just been awesome.
Yeah, and this team has accomplished a lot for this season for the Whitko Wildcats. The back-to-back TRC championships, first sectional championship, first regional championship. So on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m., you're going down to what I call it the Berry Bowl in Logansport. Great place to play a basketball game or see a basketball game. You're going to be taking on the Eastside Blazers, who are making history of their own. Their first semi-state since 1979 are the 26-1 Eastside Blazers. You're 21-4 the Whitko Wildcats. And from my impressions talking with Coach Lortie before coming on the air here is that Eastside Whitko are very much alike. They want to play fast. They are aggressive defensively, and there's a lot of talented players on both teams. What are your impressions with this Eastside matchup?
Yeah, got to watch them earlier in the year. I think we played a similar team. And yeah, he hit it on the head. They do a lot of the same things we do. I know they shoot a decent amount of threes just like we do. It's going to be a heavyweight matchup, so definitely looking forward to it. I know they run a lot of really nice sets in the half court. And yeah, like I said, they like to get up and down. Like I said, we definitely run. We run. So it'll be an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. And this is the Eastside team that will run different defensive formations. And some of the games I've seen this year, they may have different defensive formations by quarter. So this is a team that can throw some matchups that could cause some issues. They're a very physical team. This is a team that shoots around 35% from three, and opponents typically commit 24, 25 turnovers per game against the Eastside Blazers. I guess turnovers would have to be a key for your team to be successful. But what are some other thoughts? Because this is uncharted territory for this program. How do you stay composed in this big moment at Logansport?
Yeah, our biggest thing and my biggest motto this whole year has been one possession at a time, one game at a time. We've played in a lot of meaningful games already this year. I think yesterday the girls playing in that atmosphere. The gym was a lot smaller, so it was way louder in there. Them being able to handle that showed me what type of team I have. But again, if you look at our schedule, we play Columbia City, who's playing in semi-state. We played Northrop twice, Huntington North, Bluffton, Lures. Like we've been battle tested this whole year. So our schedules prepared us for these type of games. So we go into the games. Obviously, um, everybody picks us not to win because I don't think they really have seen us play. But we use that as fuel. So like I said, I know Eastside's a really well coached team. I again agree with Coach Lortie. They have a lot of nice players. So like I said, I expect it to be electric. Expect a lot of fireworks.
Yes. And we do expect a very loud atmosphere from both the Whitko and Eastside fans just for this 10 a.m. game, as this is going to be a 2-round semi-state. Rensselaer Central and Sheridan is on the other half of the bracket. I know you got a lot of things playing here, so I want to leave you with one final question here. This has been a season that this Whitko program has experienced for the ages. It's one you're going to remember for a while. These kids are going to remember this season. How much does it? Where does this rank for you in terms of your basketball career, seeing what these kids have done, seeing the successes they've had this year, and be able to come within the cusp of getting to the state finals?
Yeah. For me as a coach, there's no other feeling. And I told the girls, no matter whether we win or lose, I'm proud of them. Just to be able to deal with me for a whole year is enough. So, but I'm proud of them because I'm hard on them all the time. And they respond, and there's no wavering, there's no finger pointing. They just get after it. But I know they know this is going to be a big deal. But regardless of what happens, I'm super proud of them.
Mm-hmm. And Justin Jordan, the Whitko Wildcats, looking to continue this momentous ride, the first ever semi-state Lady Wildcat basketball team in the basketball story-rich history of Whitko basketball. A lot of great teams over the years, even on the boys' side, some nice teams back in the 80s and 90s as well. So good to see Whitko get back into that big recognition statewide for the Whitko Wildcats. Coach, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, as always, man, good talking to you, and I appreciate everything you do for the boys and the girls, man. We really appreciate it.
All right, Coach. Thank you, and good luck as your team takes on the Eastside in the first semi-state for Whitko Lady Basketball.
Thanks, Sam. Take it easy.
I'm here with the head girls basketball coach of the Norwell Lady Knights, Eric Thornton. And Coach, this is now your fourth semi-state now in your time in Norwell. Just talk about the run in the state tournament and how your kids were able to have the success they've had up to this point.
Yeah, it's been a great run for a inexperienced group, and very excited for them. We started off with playing Marion, two good freshmen this year, and very athletic, and we're able to advance past them and get into the semifinals against Mississinawa. Played another strong game against a team that's very good defensively in their man-to-man, and that set up a rematch with Belmont, who had a tremendous season and ran the table in the NE8, and just want to put just a plug in again for how strong the NE8 was this year. It was an outstanding conference, and Belmont beat us the first time, as you know, and they were very deserving. They were the tougher team, and so that rematch was something that our kids were looking forward to, and we were able to play well in that game and earn a sectional championship, and that set us up this past weekend with East Noble, and East Noble's got a really good young and up and coming group, and we got off to a tremendous start, 29-2 at the end of 8 minutes, and the game changed from there. But our kids were so prepared for the week. Credit to them, and very exciting to be playing for an opportunity to go to Gainbridge. You know, it'll be two tough games this Saturday, but looking forward to this week. And these kids have really hung in there. A lot of resiliency with this young group. I'm really excited for them.
Yes, and that game against Belmont in the regular season was a 47-44 Belmont victory, where you in the first half you had a pretty decent lead on Belmont in the first half. Again, very good Northeast State Conference with you, Belmont, Columbia City, and it feels like Norwell really lit a fire in them since that game. They've been averaging around 70 points since that contest and whatnot. And I think we know from last year that the run to the state finals, I'm sure that had to play a factor behind Norwell's motivation in the state tournament.
No, I certainly agree with that. I think that run, we had several kids who are part of that. Vanessa was a starter on that team. Addison Norris played a role on that. Ryland Graff played a role on that. Olivia Green a little bit while her sister was out. But for the most part, most of our kids have not been through this experience before. But being on that, being a part of that experience, I think was incredibly beneficial for them. I think they've taken advantage of what is all entailed with that, and how you can turn good losses or losses into good losses by doing something about it, which our kids did. And yeah, you said something about lighting a fire. I think our kids have really tried to address their weaknesses, and maybe playing well against really good teams, but maybe not putting it all together. And I think the mistakes they've made in those previous experiences, I think they've learned from those and have become a better team as a result of it.
Yes, and obviously it translated in the postseason, and the championship game against Belmont was 57-39 in favor of Norwell. Game was far closer than what the score showed you. Vanessa Rossum had a special performance, which she's had quite a few in her career already, with 41 points, and reached a 1,000 point mark at that point. And then the East Snowball game, Vanessa had 30 points in that contest. Your team had like 14 threes that contest. Wallman with 6 triples of her own, forcing East Snowball 28 turnovers. I want to speak to you on Vanessa Rossum, her progression, especially towards the latter half of the season. Just talk about that, how special it has been for watching Vanessa play as the kind of the go-to player of this team, and then watching kind of this chemistry with this team kind of unfold over the last several weeks.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey for Vanessa. Her freshman year being our sixth man, basically, playing starters minutes, but coming off the bench, and just really handling that well. And then last year, really taking another big step for us, moved her into the starting lineup a year ago. And she just showed a great promise of all the things you need from a leader and a player who is a worker, and just a great teammate, fun to coach. And this year we put her in a whole new role as our point guard. And she's never really played point guard before ever in her career, and we dabbled with that midway through June in our summer ball. And she really took a hold of that, and runs our team on both ends of the floor. It starts with her at the point guard position. It starts with her at the top of our 1-3-1. She enjoys that role. She's gotten very comfortable in what is all entailed with that. She's able to keep our group connected, and I think her improvement has been in just overall when to score, when to distribute, making great reads, being okay with having the ball in her hands, but also entrusting her teammates. I think you've seen that here down the stretch here the last 3 to 4 weeks, where we have several kids who can score in double figures outside of Vanessa, and I think she trusts her teammates. I think she helps make them better, but I also think she understands that there's times when we need her to really attack. Case in point, the Belmont game, where it was time for her to try to get to the rim and get to the line, and not settle for things maybe like she did in that first game against Belmont, and just exerting her will, but also that balance of what being a good point guard entails. I think she's come so far. I'm really proud of her, and she really helps our team go.
Yes, and you got multiple players that can score and be able to defend with Rossworm and Waldman, adding Norris at times. Jada Dale can have her moments. Macy Salfring having a breakout season. The Norwell Knights is a multi-sport athlete on this team, and that can be very important because on Saturday you're going down to Huntington North, which is familiar territory for your school. You got this Delta team coming along. I don't want to say they're a Cinderella team per se, but we didn't quite expect Delta to get this far in their first ever semi-state appearance, and they got this girl named Jillian Barr averaging a double per game. Addison Barnes and Griffin Knight, they are their 3-point shooters on this team and whatnot. Delta's a pretty scrappy team. That's something I've noticed on paper with this Delta team. But what are your thoughts for that matchup? And then waiting on the other half of that bracket, if you were to advance, is Columbia City or potentially a Highland?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to narrow our focus, in that morning game against Delta, as you mentioned, watching some film today in their regional game yesterday. Just very impressed. They started off really, really well in that game. A lot of athleticism there. You mentioned their inside game. Really, really impressed with her, and just a double kid, nice strong lefty inside who plays great with her back to the basket. And their guard play is really good. They've got some good shooters. They get into that diamond press that's really, really effective, and they force tempo, and they play solid man to man. So just getting to know their roster here a little bit here today. Looking at their numbers, and when you look at over the course of the season, they played some really solid competition, and for them, you can see that's a nice young team that they have. No seniors on the roster. They deserve to be here at this level of the tournament, and that's going to be a really, really tough game that we're going to have to prepare well for this week.
Delta plays in the Hoosier Heritage Conference. That's a conference, a lot of nice basketball tradition over the years in that Muncie area and right in the central part of the state of Indiana. Coach, you've been through many of these semi-states before, and this is a familiar territory, going back to Huntington North, trying to get back to states for the second year in a row. Ironically, Gibson Southern 4A is doing the same thing in their semi-state as well. Coach, what are some things you've learned in your time of being able to coach at this point of the season, playing in those semi-states, and now having to win 2 games to get to states?
Well, I think the first thing is we continue to focus on ourselves and doing the things that we do, trying to do them as well as possible. Obviously, you're shortening practices. We've done that now for quite a while, saving legs and saving minds as well. But keeping the ball in our hands, feeling our shot every day, continuing with our normal things. I think normal is really good. I think that shows confidence in our kids and the concepts that we play with. Not trying to be gimmicky at this point of the season, but I want to get our kids home early. I want a lot of rest. I want them to be able to take care of themselves. Very few teams are 100% at this point of the season with sickness and injury. And fortunately, our kids are healthy. We want to have fun this week too. I mean, that needs to be a part of it. Being able to go to Huntington North and practice. We're excited about what day that might be, and being able to have some team time together with going out to eat and so on. But the main thing for us is staying normal. There's a lot more that comes with it as far as media and tickets and shirts and so on. And you just you try to manage what you need to manage, and you get some help from some other people. Unfortunately, our administration is extremely supportive of all that, but our fans are excited. There's a lot of demands during the week on our team and so on that we're when you get those, it means that you're deep into the tournament. So going through last year for all of us has been a tremendous help, and being able to do this back to back is really, really special with this young and this is new for these kids, as far as their roles and their experience, and they're pretty excited about this week. I want them to enjoy it. I want them to have fun, and they'll continue to prepare well as they have all season long.
This is Eric Thornton, the head girls basketball coach of Norwell. You've been coaching this Norwell team since, I believe, 1997. It's gone by quite fast here. This is the 50th anniversary of the girls basketball state tournament. Ironically, Terry Rosinski was one of the first superstar players to get the statewide recognition coming out of Norwell High School. This program has grown so much over the years. And so I guess my final question to you is, how excited are you for this program to have an opportunity to get back to the state finals and be able to do so with many people maybe not expecting this team to get back to this situation once again at the cusp of getting to the state finals and possibly playing in front of a very loud crowd for an opportunity to play for a state championship?
Yeah, all those things that you mentioned, just very reflective at this time of the 50th. I mean, that's special. There's a strong Norwell girls basketball tradition that started back at the very beginning with Coach Terry Warden. I'm thankful for what she was started here, and for Terry Rosinski for how tremendous she was in those early years. And we've had another Miss Basketball along the way with Jessica Rupright. I know they're getting honored down at Gainbridge for the 50th, the Miss Basketballs, and that those early teams. And I think the IHSA has done a great job of highlighting some of those special players and special teams over the years. And then Norwell's right in there as far as that tradition. As far as this point in your career where you think it might not happen, and that's okay. There's a lot of reasons to be a part of something like Norwell basketball that are outside of reaching the state finals. But this group, I just want to compliment our group. For as you mentioned, they've been under the radar for this whole season, and nobody maybe expected this outside of this group. I know this group loved our senior group from last year. They meant a lot to all of us, and they always will. But this group was excited for their chance to do it in their way, in different roles, and they believed in it. They've had success growing up in our program, and I couldn't be happier for a group. They're all special, and this run that they're on, I hope it doesn't end. We want to keep playing for another week beyond this week. This group believes they can do it. Their confidence is as an all-season high right now, and pretty connected group. We need to earn a trip to that night game, and that'll be difficult to beat Delta, but that's what we're working on this week. And then it's just not going to place any limitations on what this group can do. So that's what we're looking forward to.
For Terry Runzinski to Jessica Rupright to Kennedy Filling, and now with this group, 50 years in Norwell girls basketball continues entering the semi-state here in 2024-2025. Coach, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, I appreciate the opportunity, Sam, and the great job you do with covering, girls basketball, boys basketball. It's at a high level, and I think it's part of what makes girls basketball different nowadays is the amount of coverage that they get. A lot of people are excited about this, and you help that happen by doing a great job on your end. So thanks for what you do, and thanks for highlighting our team tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about our team.
All right, Coach. Greatly appreciate that. Good luck to you and your Norwell Knights as you go down to Huntington North on Saturday to take on the Delta Eagles.
Thank you much, Sam.
Well, that's going to do it for the Talk Around the Corner. As I've mentioned earlier, we are right towards the end of the winter season. Again, thank you for the countless support I received from all of you, whether it's for basketball, whether it's for wrestling, for football, you name it. I appreciate all the support I get here, but of course, what you, the fans, and the athletes, the coaches, the schools, they all provide those necessary resources for me to succeed. So it's because of you that I'm able to put in the work I am right now. So until next time, this is Sanford saying so long. Thank you for watching the ANEC Sports Podcast. Please like this video and like the page ANEC Sports on YouTube. Let people know that the ANEC Sports is on YouTube. Also like our Facebook page at Around the Northeast Corner, and follow either Around the Northeast Corner and Sam Frick on Twitter/X. We're also on Instagram as well. Just look for ANEC Sports or Around the Northeast Corner, and you will find us there. You can also follow the man himself, Sam Frick, the founder and editor at Around the Northeast Corner, for other additional content. This has been an Around the Northeast Corner presentation.